Hi, I'm Mitchell Morton with Foster Lake and Pond Management.
And I'm Tyner Tu with Bland Landscaping.
And we're going to make you smarter in 5 minutes. When managing stormwater devices, it's always important to have a relationship with the landscaper on site. At Foster Lake and Pond, we have an advantage because we're part of the Bland Landscaping team. That makes communication internally and with the client a lot easier.
So one of the big advantages that we have found and that we kind of had the foresight on when we brought Foster Lake and Pond into the Bland Landscaping fold was that the two worlds really should be one. You know, we have landscaping and then we have stormwater management. And a lot of the issues that we find when we are on property, if Foster Lake and Pond is not part of that relationship with the customer, is that, you know, where does the landscaping end and where does the stormwater management begin?
Mowing boundaries are probably the #1 issue we run into in stormwater management. Usually landscapers don't realize that the entire footprint of the stormwater device needs to be mowed to a compliance level. At Foster Lake and Pond, that's something we specialize in. We have specialty equipment like Ventrax that can handle these severe slopes that we see on the backs of dams. These mowings are compliance mowings. They're not always finished mowings. So there needs to be communication with the landscape contractor to make sure that the objective is clear, everyone has a map and knows where their boundaries start and stop.
One of the advantages that I think we bring to even Mitchell and his team is that with our service crews being on sites weekly during the growing season and weekly during the dormant months, it's provided a lot of eyes and ears on site for just, again, that internal communication that we've highlighted earlier in the video, to where on an existing site with existing customers that we're able to identify potential non-compliant issues that we see arising, either erosion on banks, kind of in that spring, early summer time frame where algae blooms can kind of come out of nowhere in a quick manner. We're passively looking for those opportunities now where we may not have done so in the past, given that we had separate silos we were responsible for. Now that we're a unified group, even in the RFP process of a community that we may be putting a proposal together for, we're able to have those brainstorming sessions internally as we're working through a proposal process with Mitchell and his team to be able to recommend the right application and the right repair for the problem that the customers experience, or they may not even be aware that they're experiencing.
Another key component for your stormwater and landscaping professionals to work together is communication regarding treatments of the turf and treatments of the water. Certain products should not be used if the water in the SCM or pond is being used for irrigation purposes. Knowing that ahead of time can save a lot of money and a lot of customer complaints. Also, from a turf side, there should be a 50 to 100 foot buffer for most turf applications for insects, even fertilizer. We want to minimize the potential for inappropriate products to make their way into our water. There are natural organisms that live in there, and by maintaining buffers and communication between your landscaper and your stormwater professional, you can ensure that everybody will be doing things the right way. So, a couple of points to take home with you. First of all, have a map. Make sure you know where the stormwater management ends and the landscaping begins.
That's right, Mitchell, because again, one of the confusing areas that we experience when either we're coming onto a new property that we have not been maintaining before is, where do those services begin and end? It could be 100 feet away from a pond, it could be right up against the bank of the pond. So just again, having those areas clearly defined and clearly communicated between your landscape provider and your stormwater management provider will just eliminate complaints that you get for yourself.
Anytime you're working around water, make sure your landscaper knows that we want to keep at least a 50 to 100 foot buffer around the pond when applying fertilizers and herbicides. And lastly, encourage your stormwater professional and your landscape contractor to work together to make sure that you're satisfied. So once again, I'm Mitchell Morton with Foster Lake and Pond Management.
And I'm Tyner Tu with Bland Landscaping.
And you are smarter in 5 minutes.